Thanks for coming. I hope this morning has been productive, and hope you bear with me 20 minutes until lunch. My name's Cliff. I'm from Google AdMob team. For those of you that don't know, AdMob is Google's in-app monetization solution for developers. So I work with regions, AU and Z's largest gaming developers and other app developers to grow their business via ads. So, what does AdMob have to do with Google Analytics or Firebase? Well, one is, I think, to perfect any monetization strategy, you really should have the right analytics and data. And two, I come from a business intelligence background, so I just love data. But to get started, let's just go over what Firebase is quickly. It is Google's unified app development platform that helps developers quickly build high-quality apps to grow their business across iOS, Android, and web. And the mission is really just to make developers' lives as easy as possible to build the best apps they can. It's a huge suite of products that has many different functions that help throughout each stage of the development lifecycle, from cloud messaging and server-side A/B testing with remote config to helping monetize or helping grow your business through paid user acquisition with AdWords, and then earning through ads with AdMob, mobile app monetization, as well as all the other typical audience segments. So all those problems are fixed now, and it's more easy to integrate with our other SDKs. So analytics is becoming increasingly important for monetization strategies as the various ways you can earn money continue to grow as well. So nowadays, most developers have many options for how they can choose to monetize their apps, whether it's advertising and purchases, pay per download, subscriptions, and e-commerce. And and as we track this over time, we see that this overlap is becoming increasingly important. So it's hybrid monetization is using 2 or 3 of these strategies and knowing how to balance those strategies, making smart decisions about trade-offs when you're talking about increasing your advertising, knowing how it's impact your in-app purchase and so forth is increasingly important, and you really need the right data to do that smart. So with the new integration of AdMob and Firebase, we set out to really make these decisions easier and quantifiable. So before, if you were using ads, you really were only looking at half the picture when you looked at your revenue from an IAP perspective. So, but combining the potential app data that you have in Firebase, which is user engagement metrics, all your screen events, in-app purchases, audience segments, as well as your ads revenue from AdMob, which is and impressions, clicks, and ad unit data, you can answer these questions that previously were not possible, such as what is my holistic lifetime revenue, the factors in ad revenue, as well as IAP. How do my rewarded video ads impact user engagement, lifetime value, and how does my ad revenue differ between IAP users and non-IAP spenders, as well as other audience segments? These are just examples of what you can answer now that weren't previously available before these integrations. Also new in the AdMob front-end dashboard, we pull in all of the other sources of revenue, so you don't have to have multiple tricks, multiple tabs. You can see everything in one place across subscription, ad revenue, in-app purchases, and we're adding e-commerce here. We're adding subscription shortly. Another new feature is we have all of the user engagement metrics right next to your revenue metrics as well. So I think a lot of people think, oh, you're from AdMob, you're from Google, you really just want to show more ads in my app. And I think that's not the full picture, because Google as a whole really just wants developers to be successful in the long term, so to create sustainable businesses. And we know that there are trade-offs when you add ads or when you're looking to increase your in-app purchase spending. There are always effects on user engagement and retention, and we want you to know what those trade-offs are so you can consciously make the decision yourself. So when you are looking at these metrics, you can tie, okay, are my ads improving my user engagement, sessions per user and average session duration? Am I attracting more value for my users in terms of average revenue per user, which incorporates IAP and ads? And have my new ad units impacting my ability to retain users? So am I upsetting users by adding new ads or trying to get more monetization out of them? that in the Firebase front end, we have the new out-of-the-box events such as ad-clicking and impressions, and you can segment and you can create audiences for any event that happens within your game. So you can really slice and dice all your data at an impression or click level and tie that back to revenue as well. So that was just a quick overview. Now I want to get into a case study that I really like. It's a Japanese developer in Tokyo called Beworks. They're pretty famous for these mushroom-based games. This one is Fungus Den, one of their newer games. These characters are pretty popular in Japan. If Hello Kitty's like a tier 1 character, these are considered tier 2. I used to live in Japan, so I like this game. I like these guys a lot. And basically, this new game, it is a strategy-based game where you want to build an underground city for your mushrooms. There are 41 levels and various challenges at each level, and you can come back and get an award once you unlock certain levels and missions and so forth. And we brought the idea to them when this was still in beta, the integration. And the story goes, their account manager called them on a Friday, about 2 hours before they're about to release their newest update, and say, hey, do you want to try this test with us? And they said, well, we're going to push 2 hours. They're, well, it's pretty easy. Why don't you just have the thing and call us back? Right before they launched it, called us back and said, yep, we have it in, everything's ready to go. So we're pretty surprised because having worked in Japan, decisions usually don't happen that quickly in corporate environments. But this is how simple it was to integrate that. It was one line of code utilizing the user property feature, and it basically just increase the M level value just increases 1 by 1 value every time the user progresses to the next level. So you can then create audiences back in Firebase based on that level. So the first graph that they pulled was this. So they have game level on the bottom with daily active users on the left, on the y-axis. And Beworks, like a lot of game developers, and you guys too, they've been really successful for a while, largely based on the gut. And a lot of times they're right, but they're not always right. They were not right here. They thought their game was super hard and took a lot of time to progress. But the reality is that most of their daily active users are already on the final stage of the game. So that means that they're just coming every day, collecting their prizes, their coins, whatever they need. So obviously, I think good data can always speak to you, and here it's saying we need to create more content. And while they're doing that, because that takes some time, they can still leverage this data to make a short-term decision to use house ads to promote their other mushroom games to keep the users within their mushroom ecosystem. The next cut that we looked at was, again, x-axis is game level, and we have the uninstall rate on the y-axis. So we can see here there's a few peaks in the uninstall rate at certain levels, and these are actually intentional. These challenges you see here, these missions, are intentionally more challenging than typical missions. So Beworks wasn't surprised that the uninstall rates on these levels were particularly higher than the other ones. But we can clearly see here that level 8 maps out a captivation point for their users, where that uninstall rate kind of flattens out. So with data like this, now they're rethinking how to progress users quicker and retain them better through levels 1 through 7, whether that's more informed tutorials, gifting mechanics, social mechanics, rewarded videos, and so forth, to make sure that they can get up to level 8 and hopefully prevent further drop-off. This next chart is, you have the game level again on the x-axis, and on the y-axis you have overall revenue. This is combined revenue across all their monetization strategies, so in-app purchase and banners. That's all they do right now. And you can see in those first 8 levels that IP spending is pretty low, which is typical for casual games, as the user needs to feel invested before he or she decides to spend money on that particular game. But what you can also see here is that these peaks in revenue are correlated with the more difficult missions we just saw on the previous slide. And which makes sense because users are spending more time on that page, so they're either getting frustrated, clicking on an ad and leaving, which would be the orange revenue, or they finally give in and then they make that purchase progress past that tough level and continue gaining. But what they can use this data to prevent the drop-offs at these tough levels is introduce mechanisms prior to the level that will incentivize users to get past the next level. For example, in level 9, they could introduce a rewarded video, or just give them a free prize that they can then receive in level 11 or even level 13. It gives them that extra chance to know that if they put in the time and effort to get past level 12, they have something waiting for them. This is the last chart I wanted to share from ViewWorks, and it is the game level again on the x-axis with the banner click-through rate. So that's how often users are clicking through a banner ad on the left axis. And if any of you heard the term banner blindness, it's existed since display advertising on the internet. I experienced it myself as a user. You kind of ignore all those noisy ads because you're just so used to them in today's environment. I've never seen a chart that quantifies it though, such as this. So as users progress in this game from level 1 to 41, it is clear that the user are becoming blind to these banners and not engaging with them as much. But this is very important because you can make informed decisions about when to remove that banner, when it becomes not profitable for you to have it, or how to exactly price it in that purchase to remove banners. So whether it's $1 or $2, you actually know if I price it at level 20, I know that I'm going to get X amount per user for the next 20 levels on average, so I price this remove ads and that purchase at a certain price, which is equal to that. So just to recap on what we learned from that case study is that the right data can help inform game design, which then will increase user retention, engagement, as well as revenue. I think they're all very tied together. So you want to know your captivation points, your drop-offs, and think of ways to increase that, as well as to make sure you have enough content for all your dedicated users as well. 2, lifetime value should always be seen holistically, so not just IAP revenue or not just ad revenue, but how they total among the users. And then 3 is it's important to quantify the trade-offs of various strategies, whether it's increasing ads or introducing a new ad format such as rewarded video or changing your in-app economy. It's really important to understand the trade-offs, how that affects users, so you're making decisions that are informative. So that is all I have today. Just wanted to introduce myself, Cliff, and Paul also works on the AdMob team, and Cindy and Henry works on AdWords if you're interested in user acquisition. Tonight we'll be at the Bluestone room, so come by, get a free drink, some finger food, and say hi. That's all I have. Questions?
You also create, so you can integrate with other AdMob as well, right?
Yeah, so if you use AdMob mediation, you can integrate with every major ad network, and you get all the impression and click data as well.
Okay. And it does the same analysis.
So the revenue will not be, you can't slice and dice in Firebase by third-party network revenue because they don't let us know the per impression level revenue data, and just like we don't let other networks know it. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of the conference.